残酷な天使のように少年よ神話になれ。
Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of the Kaiju Kingdom podcast. We are your hosts,
Jessica.
And I am Chris Eaton. Real quick bit of news. If you've been wondering where the heck we've been for the last month, I need to do a little explanation. This wasn't one of our where we just mysteriously disappeared because we were kind of busy or something like that. Thanks to you guys, the listeners, you broke our website. So, it's both a good and a bad thing. It's good in the fact that we have listenership, and that says a lot. So thank you very much. The bad news was the site that I was hosting this podcast on wasn't meant to take that much traffic at all at once. So we maxed out the bandwidth on the on the host server, and they pretty much, like a disgruntled landlord, told us to get the heck out. So for the last couple of weeks, I've been working on moving servers. Thankfully, I found something that wasn't going to cost me an arm and a leg, so we can continue to give you this lovely show for free. So for that, thank you. Keep listening. Now we're on a brand new server, unlimited bandwidth, so download and stream to your heart's desire. And you can listen to my whiny voice and Jessica's, lovely voice. Till the cows come home, as they would say. But on that note, Jessica, how are you doing?
I am doing good. So had a good weekend, and it was wonderful, and just counting my free time to marathon Daredevil. Other than that, doing good.
I've only watched the first 4 episodes, so I'm taking my time.
That's 3 more than me.
Well, it's pretty good. I hear people already saying it's like, oh man, I don't know how to go. I can watch Arrow after watching this. It's like, they're two different things, man. And Netflix is not network TV, so they can get away with a lot more. Unlike Arrow, Daredevil, and this isn't being too spoilery. It's just a lot more bloody and stabby than Arrow is. So, but it's a pretty good show, though. It's a pretty good show. Jessica, when you get to the Kingpin episode, I think you're going to be thoroughly surprised how they handled him.
Yeah, I've read. I go through my Facebook newsfeed, and someone posted a couple of things. So I'm already kind of looking forward to this incarnation of it. Because so far, the one that we are most of us are familiar with is Michael Clark Duncan. Rest in peace. From the Ben Affleck Daredevil with Jennifer Garner. So
look, I still hold that the Affleck movie is a good movie, especially if you watch the director's cut, where they kind of. They remove some scenes. They change some scenes around. It's a lot of people. When the movie came out, I heard nothing but praise for it. Like, oh man, this movie's great. And then all of a sudden, it became cool to dump all over Ben Affleck. And then everyone's like, oh man, Daredevil blows. It's like, no, it doesn't. It's actually a really good superhero film. Yes, admittedly, Jennifer Garner was not the greatest choice for Elektra. I think everybody will agree with that, right? Right, Jessica?
I'm sorry, Jennifer Garner as what? As Elektra?
Yes, was not the
cut
greatest
out
choice.
Right there.
Sorry, Jennifer Garner as Elektra was not the greatest choice.
Yeah, she was not. I mean, she's a very beautiful, talented woman, but she wasn't, I think, what most people's first choice would be. I understand that Elektra was more of a Greek, Asian, descent for those, but I think people picture somebody a little bit different.
Yeah.
Physically looking.
Well, not even that, but it was a matter, I think it was just because Alias was so popular at the time. I think they're like, oh, butt-kicking girl. Okay, let's get the girl from Alias. And it's like, yeah, you wouldn't even the 5th choice I would have made for Elektra. So, but hey, Ben met his wife out of it, and if anything, if people who still dump on that movie, if the worst you could take away from it, or the best you could take away from it, is the fact that it hooked up Jon Favreau with the people that would start Marvel Studios, and because of that, we got Iron Man. So there.
Yes. Yes, and actually, I was never a fan of Daredevil's armored type suits,
Yeah.
2-color type suits.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer a one solid color.
Like
And, people have their
yeah.
preferences. Some people like, black and gray on Batman. Some people prefer the blue, the Neil Adams blue.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer the full red.
Yes.
And so, maybe the suit could have been better, but I kind of like Ben Affleck's suit better from what I've seen.
Yeah.
I obviously, since I haven't seen marathoned all the episodes, from what I've seen has been all of the teasers that I've seen of this Charlie Cox's, this one, the current Netflix's Daredevil suit. And it seemed, first of all, I couldn't see the horns. I was like, where is this going?
Well,
and at first I thought I was looking at Ant-Man. I don't know what was happening. I was really tired.
Yeah.
So, and then it looked different. It looked armored. It looked a little bit more different. I think some people will like it. Think some people won't like it.
So you're
I won't know until I see it in all of its glory.
You're talking about the promo that aired right, the day before it started, that actually revealed the outfit, right?
Yes. Not his prototype. His prototype is fine.
The ninja outfit, which...
the ninja outfit's fine to me. That one's fine.
Which it's weird, because here's the thing.
With his little pants.
Yes. Oh, yes. Look, all it is, it literally is the outfit. Whoever was in charge, I don't know if Drew Goddard, who was putting that show together, was a fan of the Trial of the Incredible Hulk, which if you've never seen it, go look it up on YouTube. It was the attempt to actually make a Daredevil spin-off show through that. So they had a movie after the Hulk series, the Incredible Hulk series ended. So it was Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno, and they did 2 TV movies that featured characters. So they were going to do a Daredevil show and a Thor show, and they introduced them in the Incredible Hulk as backdoor pilots to these movies. And Daredevil was pretty much, as you see him in the pilot, or as you see him in the most of the show, guy in a black outfit with
wearing a black suit,
suit with the ninja hood over his head tied off. Very similar to the Ultimate look that they would use later on in the Ultimate comics. But yeah, when I saw them, like, oh wow, and people were like, oh my god, what the heck is this? Smash cut to today on Twitter. I'm flipping through, just looking. It's like, see, I'm only so far in. I've seen people loving the end of the second episode. I won't reveal why, but it's an amazing cinematography shot. I'll just leave it at that. There's people going on about yeah, the show was great until he put the suit on. Then it felt so weird. I kind of preferred the black suit now. I'm like, okay. So everyone complains about the black suit, and when they finally see it moving, they're like, oh yeah, we like it. We like the show's going. Now that he's got the red suit on, it's like, it doesn't feel right anymore. It's like, so it goes to show you, nerds, geeks, hardcore fans have no idea what the hell they want until they actually see it. So.
And Charlie Cox's face, he's a cute man. I loved him from Stardust. Great guy. Looks great when he's wearing the red sunglasses, or his glasses. Looks great wearing the ninja outfit. Ultimate, I prefer. In the suit, something about his face, his jaw, and his nose just doesn't look right. The way it's shaped to his face, it doesn't look right. Ben Affleck's head actually looks a little bit better in the mask, the cowl.
Yeah.
As a Daredevil.
Because Affleck's
something about the face.
Well, because it's I think it's because unlike Affleck's did not connect to the rest of the suit. It was just the top. It was like a helmet, it was, the whole thing was like a biker style outfit. This one has more of the Batman thing going on, like the later Batmans, where the mask is connected to the rest of the body. It looks like. And I think it's a molded head too. So I think that's what's throwing everything off. It's a helmet and everything molded into the outfit. So that's why I think it's throwing everything off.
Yeah. I think Christian Bale, fine without his mask on. As Batman, that mask is made a little bit too narrow around his mouth.
Oh yeah, very much.
So it looked weird. Michael Keaton's face, his jawline, everything looked great. In the cowl. Michael Keaton's face was great. It was very well done.
And it's because he's Michael Keaton too. You can't mess with perfection. That's Mr. Mom right there. He's gung ho.
Yes, yes. So
those-
that was my weekend. I'm just counting down hours until I have a chunk of free time to do that.
Well, I think you will be thoroughly surprised with what you see. So that just means we're on the countdown to Avengers as well. But
Yes.
also, we have to make mention we were at WonderCon last week as well, and Jessica had several panels that she was host for, which had her running around up and down the Anaheim Convention Center like a firefighter running to a fire. So,
Yes.
and not only that, but you're very popular there. It's like the 3 times I ran into you and we got to talk, we sat down. It didn't seem like more than 2 minutes went by where it was like, oh hey, I gotta go say hi to this person real quick. Like, just it's like, who don't you know here? That was more of the key thing.
No, there's plenty of people that I don't know at the conventions. There's plenty of people.
But you're always making new friends, though. So there's going to be an eventual time where you're like, for a better or worse term, you're the norm of conventions from Cheers, where everyone just walks in, they just go, Jessica! And then you go sit down, at whatever table you're at. So yeah, that was my lame joke. All right. Let's get down to some business, because we got a lot to talk about. So.
Yep.
So, Jessica, what do you want to hear first? We want to talk about the comics, or do you want to talk about the hotel?
Ooh, the hotel.
Let's talk about the hotel. So, tell the good people about the hotel, Jessica.
There is a Godzilla Hotel in Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Shinjuku.
Mm-hmm. Shocking.
Yes, in a region that starts with a K, and I will not. I can picture how to spell it, but I will not try to pronounce it. I will offend everyone who is Japanese or can't speak the language. But it's a really awesome, I've been trying to track its opening day. I knew that it was a Godzilla hotel, and what I really loved about it was the fact that there are certain rooms that you can get where his foot's in it. So it's called it like he's breaking through, and that's awesome. But then there's also across the street where you can get rooms, so when you look out your window, Godzilla is there. So, yeah, a friend of mine, when we were talking about which room was better to get, and my conclusion is, it's easier for you to see Godzilla from different angles and different heights, but to actually be in the if you only had enough money to pick one hotel room to stay at, I think I'd rather pick the one where his foot's going through the wall.
Yes, because
I think that one's more different. I think you can always see Godzilla from outside.
Oh yeah, it's almost like a Vegas, like a classic '90s Vegas hotel. It's super themed, and you almost kind of wish there was a casino inside of this thing.
Oh, yeah.
You just imagine, waitresses walking around like little Mothra outfits and stuff like that. Like, the people are forced to wear, Anguila's horns while they're playing roulette.
I'm imagining, instead of that little folded towel swan when you come in that's on your bed with the chocolate, it's going to be, Godzilla folded from a towel with, a little green, mochi shaped like Mothra next to awesome. Instead of a chocolate. I think everything should be themed in that way.
Well, excuse me. There is something someone tweeted from inside the rooms that a lot of the windows that are at least facing on the cityscape are stained glass. So they have etchings in them that match the proportions of the city. So it looks like when you look out the window, the monsters are actually attacking or they're fighting in the city because they use the forced perspective on it, and they line up just perfectly with everything.
That is so cool.
Yes.
Also, have they thought what happened if the city skyline changed?
I don't think they thought that far, or they figured they'll probably just update as it goes along. Like, oh, there's that tower there. It's blocking Ghidorah's silhouette. So, yeah, we got to go spend a couple $100,000 to fix this. Because I'm pretty sure, because the whole thing came about, they had, the grand unveiling for the head and everything, and naming Godzilla the official ambassador for Shinjuku too. So I think they're expecting this to be a big tourist. It is almost Vegas in some way, where it's a kitschy tourist destination now. But I guess they're hoping a bunch of silly foreigners like you and I will come and stay in the Godzilla Hotel, which now. Oh hell yeah! It's $345 a night. It's not too bad, considering what you would pay for the nicer hotels in Vegas, though, if you really think about it. So one night alone, if you can do one night, that's still a night you've stayed there. So you're not going to be spending a whole week there, but I'm going to just say challenge accepted, and sometime, hopefully in the next 3 or 4 years, I will make it there.
Yeah, and then I wouldn't even leave the hotel room. I would just stay in there all night and get like room service because you want to be able to stare at his foot for as long as possible because every dollar was spent.
I almost
to get
hope
that room.
There's portions. I really hope that they made the room with like the big foot in it, kind of like a governor's suite. That you can the foot is molded into the bed, so you climb. It's almost like a 5-year-old's bed. That's like like a race car bed, and you get to climb and sleep like on top of his foot, kind of thing.
I think it literally just goes through the wall.
Yeah, I know. It's probably just like exploding through and be like you can take like cool pictures with, but I don't know. The child in me dreams of sleeping on Godzilla's foot now, though.
On top of his foot or under his foot?
No, literally the bed would be molded, like the bed would be like placed inside the foot. So you have to crawl over his toe or, over the side of his foot, and then you hop into like a nice bed that's actually like cradled inside of his foot. So like the top the top epidermis would be gone. It'd be nothing but silk satin bed sheets and a pillow.
Okay, because I was gonna say it's no one's dream to be under Godzilla's foot.
No, unless you have a death wish.
That is terrible.
Yes, so unless you have a terrible, terrible death wish. So, but now that just it ups my need to go to Japan even more now. Just I got to visit there. I've had too many people tell me, "Oh yeah, it's so awesome, you can go." I got to go stay in the Godzilla Hotel, and because I'm cheap and because it's so Japanese and kitschy, I want to go stay in a capsule motel after that too.
Oh yeah, capsule, yeah.
I love the idea of it. It's just like I get a bunk. Like I know that I'm a Westerner. I should demand more. It's like no, something about that little bunk that just closes. I feel like it feels like I'm in one of the things in like when they were transporting everyone on the cruise ship in Fifth Element. You get those little things you get to sleep in. That's what it seems like. So, all right, so awesome. Godzilla Hotel. Japan just keeps making reasons for us to keep wanting to go there. And, as much as I hear everybody was like, "Oh, come out to LA." It's like, no, you can't go to Japan where it's tomorrow all the time. It's always tomorrow. Something new is always arising there. So, let's move into some comic news, Jessica.
Yes.
All right. Well, first things first. We know that Godzilla Rulers of Earth is coming to an end very soon, this June. Chris Mowry I think he Facebooked the end that he typed on the script. So we actually sat down with him finally. We got an interview with him at WonderCon. It'll be on the next episode. So the next episode will mostly be that, and I got something else lined up for that. So it'll be pre-taped for from then. So but look forward to that. In the meantime, we have to look forward to IDW's next offering. And Jessica, it's an ambitious offering to say the least, and something when I heard it, I was very excited for.
It is. It was a title I did not see coming, but it was basically Godzilla Goes to Hell.
Yes,
and I'm kind of like, does he fit? And secondly, I mean, if you believe in the whole, there's 7 layers, there's 7 levels of hell. He's probably so big, when he stands upright, he's in all 7. But I was like, oh, how? Because I don't know whether it's a physical journey, like journey to the center of the earth, or if it's like a spiritual thing, like a limbo, like when Harry Potter is dead but not really dead. Well, spoiler alert. I guess if you don't know by now, you should know.
Spoiler for a 6-year-old movie.
Is Harry Potter is he in and out of limbo? So I'm interested to see kind of how that goes, the setup for that is.
Well, the synopsis kind of gives it the fact that, here's the thing. It's a 5-issue miniseries, and pretty much each issue is going to be written by a new person. So the first issue is going to be written by James Stocco, who did Half Century War, and I believe he's doing the art for it. So it's pretty much a new team gets to do, an issue, which is an overall arc. So they might, they haven't really explained how they're going to do it, if it's going to be a continuing story, or if they're doing like the Dante 7 layer, 7 levels kind of thing. But I was going somewhere with this. I lost my train of thought. Hold on a second. Oh yeah. So Godzilla in Hell. Yeah. So what you were saying, I think it's actually a physical thing because the synopsis.
I think it's physical too. Yeah, from what I've read, I think it's physical.
Godzilla wakes up in hell and doesn't know how he's there. I love the fact that he just wakes up and he's just like, I'm in hell. Why am I in hell? I'm not a human. I have this, which really begs the question: is like, does Godzilla have religion? You know?
Yo, does he have a soul? And
Yes.
if, you know what have been more? The follow-up should be Godzilla tries to get into heaven,
Oh.
Constantine style.
Yes, the redemptive arc of Godzilla. Godzilla doing odd jobs to buy his way back into heaven because he knows where he's going in the end. He takes up chain smoking because he doesn't care anymore. Just really bitter. I could definitely see that. I could just like a 3-issue follow-up to all that. It's like Godzilla's seen where he's going, so now he's on a quest to redeem himself, but not in the way you would think. Like he's just taking out like demons and performing exorcisms he's not supposed to be doing. But yeah, you know, that does beg a good question. Does Godzilla have a soul? I guess this does answer it. I guess hell accepts giant monsters as well, so I guess dogs and cats and all the other stuff are just as good then too.
That's sad. I mean, to think about the dogs and the cats.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, I am interested. I am interested in seeing how all the different writers are gonna link it up.
Well, James Stokoe doing the first issue should be pretty insane because that guy is, as I've described, he's like Miyazaki if he was a pervert. So he kind of draws away. It seems like he has that kind of style to himself, and his stories are just completely, just for better or worse terms, batshit insane. So, but yeah, no. When I heard this, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be awesome. They have alternate covers coming out for him too. They revealed the first one that Jeff Zornow did, and I was talking, or we were both actually talking to Mark Hadamio at Monsterpalooza when this broke, and he was like, "Oh man, when I heard about that, first thing he brought up, which I don't know if a lot of people know, I know hardcore fans do, back in the '70s, I believe it was Henry G. Serpenstein." I might be off right now. It's a little late. I don't have the exact stuff in front of me. But if my history recalls correct, at least at one point AIP was going to do a movie called Godzilla vs. the Devil. It was part of like a planned thing that was going to go along with eventual Godzilla vs. the Gargantua film too, where Godzilla literally fought a giant living incarnation of Satan himself. The project never got off the ground. So that's kind of what this whole series is kind of invoking. And the Zorno cover, which Mark said, he's like, that guy loves like Devilman and the works of Go Nagai. So when he saw that, it's like, this is just perfect for, it fits in. And it's done in the classic, excuse me, I almost said ECW. And I just got a little cough right now too, my apologies. The classic EC comic style, so that gritty Tales from the Crypt look to it too. And yeah, I can't wait. This is the one. This is something I loved. Why I love why IDW has this license. As much as some people might agree or might disagree that when they, I don't know, Jessica, what did you think of the first series of the Godzilla Kingdom of Monsters?
I liked it.
You liked
it?
It
was good. Yeah, I liked it.
But yeah, it wasn't. It didn't knock your socks off, though, right?
Yeah, I expected, I think, something a little bit different, but it was still good because the default is Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I tell people, even a terrible Batman story is still somewhat lovable because it's default Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm already like 5 points there.
Yeah.
I'm already like 50% there. Yeah, it was different.
Yeah, it's how Kevin Smith defends Batman and Robin, even as bad as it is. He's like, hey, it might be gay Batman, but gay Batman's better than no Batman.
True.
This is true. Batman's Batman. Doesn't matter how we get him, as long as we get Batman. But they have slightly picked up. The one thing I will say that because my two favorite series so far have been Rulers of Earth, because you could definitely tell it's written and done by two hardcore fans who know the history. They got all the minutia in there. That's why I love talking. I love talking to Maori about it because he's like, oh yeah, so we're doing this, throwing a little bit of this in, and it's like they get all the pieces, and then James Stokoe's Half Century War, which was just the format it was told in was brilliant, and the art and the storytelling. Like he also has like an understanding for the material too. It obviously shows he's a fan, but it was done in like such a brilliant way as well. Everything else has been really good, but the point I'm getting to, long story short, because I'm rambling, is this. This is what I want to see. I want to see something. I want to see like this kind of creativity. It's like, okay, we're not just gonna do like another basic monster on the rampage kind of thing. We're kind of gonna go wacky, and I like that every once in a while because I do like the wackier stuff like smog monsters, stuff like that. So playing around with things like that, this Godzilla going to hell is a brilliant idea, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, I am pretty excited for it.
I felt like I just took all the wind out of your sails.
No. I am excited for Godzilla Goes to Hell. Even when I told that to some of my friends, they know, obviously they watched the legendary 2014 one, but they were like, just from that alone, they're interested to see how it goes, just from a writing perspective. They were like, really interested.
All right. Well, that comes out in July. Comes out in July after Rulers of Earth ends in June. On that note, this one I know Jessica's very excited about. We're both very excited, but I think Jessica's just a little bit more excited because she loves this movie. So we get Pacific Rim 2 in 2017. Next year we're supposed to get an animated series, which we haven't heard anything on yet, but I'm assuming we might hear something at Comic-Con. But not only that, Jessica, this coming October, we get something even cooler.
Yes, we get a Pacific Rim comic book series written by Joshua Fiaco.
Yes, and it's called Pacific Rim Tales from the Drift, which is kind of a nice little kind of like play on words. But it pretty much. Did you read Tales from Year Zero?
Yes, I have.
So that one continues that storyline. So it's a prequel story. It's a limited series, and pretty much it delves into the early days of the war with the Kaiju and the early Jaegers. And the first bit of art we got, which is actually beautiful art. I love the art that they've shown so far. Is Striker Eureka fighting a Kaiju, and I'm over the moon because I love the Striker Eureka design. I'm sorry, not Striker Eureka, Tactic Ronin. Just it's late and they both look the same, so my bad on that. So Jessica, what that this is your domain. Can you tell us a little bit about the writer of this book?
Oh, Joshua Fiaco, he did a lot of wonderful things for Marvel. And also I knew him because he also worked over at IDW, and I really liked, he started out with, I believe, with Tumor. And from there, from his writing, I guess he was kind of found from there, I guess I would say. And then he just kind of kept moving up through the ranks. And I know that there was a brief time in which, and I guess we're going to mention this big one was, he was supposed to be on a Green Lantern book with DC during the New 52. And then for those that were following it, basically they went through a creative direction I guess he was not really interested in going. And usually writers have to do pretty much what their editors tell them, And then from there, and then it was a fast announcement. He was announced to do a New 52, like Green Lantern Corps or something, on Monday. And then on Tuesday, he was no longer on the book. And the book didn't even come out yet.
Wow.
So it was one of those. And then since then, I've been kind of keeping on him and seeing all the other things he's been doing because I think he would have been great. He would have been great on the New 52. However, he did not. So there was that. But yeah, no, I look forward to, I know that he had to keep it real quiet for a while. I know that he wasn't really allowed to kind of say he was doing Pacific Rim until recently. And it was one of those I was like, no, that's so awesome. It's something I wish I knew earlier. Like he did, he also did, he did Echoes. and he did I, Vampire and Infected. He did a lot of really, really great stuff.
So his bread and butter is a lot of horror stuff then, right?
Yeah, kind of, and a lot of like thriller, you know. And when he was over at IDW, he did like Doctor Who, you know, and he did like Ultimate Final FF, you know, Ultimate FF. I can't quite say Fantastic Four over for Marvel, and you know, he is doing over at Only the Life After, which is another series that he's doing, which is current. But for right now, he will be doing Pacific Rim,
which is being put out by Legendary's comic division.
Yes.
So, which is good. I think we were lamenting back when I think we were reviewing the Blu-ray that we were hoping the Legendary would at least keep this kind of going, and the fact that they kind of really didn't, you know, at least the comic verse, you know, they have a comic line, a comic company. They really don't do a heck of a lot with other than kind of like tie in with their movie stuff every once in a while and try to launch something that, you know, it seems like a creator-owned thing that doesn't seem like it goes anywhere. Am I too off on that?
Say that for me one more time.
Well, it seems like Legendary. It seems like Legendary wants to have a proper comic book company, or at least a comic book division.
Yes.
But it feels like pretty much they're just using it as like a promotional arm for like a lot of their properties. And every time they try to launch something, it doesn't really follow through.
Right. No, I completely understand, because they've had books by Mark Waid and Grant Morrison. But it was kind of like, why didn't more people know about this?
Yeah.
So, you know, it was one of those where it could have been done better.
I don't know, maybe it feels like that, you know, Thomas Tull, who definitely, this is like, he loves this kind of stuff. Maybe like he bit off a little more than he can chew, at least with company-wise with this kind of thing. I don't know. It seems like, yeah, at least, hopefully they do, you know, pursue this, you know, at least, you know, put out, because this is only a 5-issue, I believe it's 6-issue limited series. So it's not going to, because they're already trampling into territory that the cartoon's supposed to cover. But, you know, it wouldn't hurt to have a little something here and there. You know, if you got a comic company, use it.
Yeah, no, I completely understand.
All right, well, it's going to be exciting. That comes out November, so keep an eye out then. And then hopefully, I'm predicting Comic-Con, we will hear something about the animated series. So, because I think Del Toro's new movie, Crimson Peak, comes out in October, and I think they said I think he mentioned in an interview that he's going to start work on pre-production on Pacific Rim 2, like literally after that, so like that November. So by this time next year, we'll be discussing the all the filming stuff that's going on, because I got a feeling that's when it's going to happen. So, yay! On that note, Jessica, you know what else we'll be talking about this time next year?
Oh, is it Godzilla 2016?
It is Godzilla 2016. Ah, man, look at that. You're reading my mind. Well, the big news this past week, which had our entire fandom in a tizzy, which would be describing it in the most softest words I could think of. Toho officially announced the creative team for Godzilla 2016. And depending where you stand on anime, at least, you were either a huge fan of it or you were super snarky about it. Because there weren't people outright hating it. There just seemed to be like such just apathy and, you know, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. It's 1:20 in the morning as we're recording this, and just people were just so bitchy and just they full on nerd raged out on certain things, and I was just kind of bashing my head against my keyboard because you either really loved it or you were just like, oh god, I can't believe they did that. So let's break down what happened. March 31st, Jessica, Toho makes an announcement that they have picked their creative team for their brand new Godzilla movie for 2016. Unfortunately, in the United States, that date right there makes people very uneven because what follows the next day?
April Fool's Day.
April Fool's
Which is
Day.
April 1st.
Yes.
Yes.
So a lot of people were like, well, "Wait, is this an April Fool's?" And there were a bunch of people saying, "No, it's confirmed. It's confirmed. It's this." Other people were like, "I don't know. You might want to be careful because think of the international date line." Which then other people were like, "They don't do April Fool's in Japan." Pardon me. Got a cough again. And so there was like a good 4 hours. It was almost like the Kennedy assassination. No one knew what was going on while stuff was going on. It's like, is he alive? Is he dead? Did they have the shooter? We don't know. We don't know exactly what's going on. So finally, after the initial news broke and nobody could link any source to it, Toho finally put out a big announcement later that evening. I guess they announced it on a TV show in the morning, and then the equivalent of the Wall Street Journal in Japan printed it too. So people were like, okay, no, it's not an April Fool's gag. This is legit. So we have our directors, as I put for better or worse terms, of the new Godzilla movie. And one of them is Shinji Higuchi, which a lot of people were actually really rooting for. They're like, this is the guy that needs to make a Godzilla movie. You don't know that name. He is one of the founding members of Gainax Studios. He worked on Neon Genesis Evangelion. More importantly, to our fandom, he was the special effects director for the Gamera movies. So, if you love the effects and all the awesome shots that were in the Gamera movies, he was responsible for them. Sasuke Kenko directed the full movie, in better terms, but mostly the human stuff. Then, Higuchi has moved on to direct feature films. He directed a movie called Sinking of Japan, which was a big effects-heavy film. It was a big natural disaster film. And currently, he is directing the Attack on Titan movies. Actually, I think he's finishing up because they're coming out in August and September, and he's also going to be directing a few episodes of the live-action TV show they just announced that tie into the movie. So, Jessica, by the way, have you ever seen Attack on Titan?
I have read them all.
Okay.
Including the tie-ins, but not the novels yet.
Yes.
And I've also watched the entire anime series. So I'm fully caught up, and I've been watching the little teaser clips for the live-action movie. Creepy. Titans are creepy. But, my friends are interested to see kind of what he would do with Godzilla because they were like, we haven't quite seen the Attack on Titan movie yet.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see how he handles Godzilla.
Yes. So a lot of people were like, okay, cool. It was this announcement that put people on edge. The other director of the film, which Toho's kind of, positioned him as supervising director, which says that he's going to be directing the human aspect of the film, and Higuchi will be directing the effects portion of the film, even though he has full director credit. Pretty much, they're trying to figure out a way. We can't do co-directing, I guess, in Japan or something like that. But
it's not a Russo brothers thing.
It's not a Russo brothers thing. So yeah, they've kind of split hairs over this whole thing. But anyway, this man will be supervising directing officially, and writing the screenplay. It is Hideki Anno. And if you do not know that name, shame on you. Why are you even listening to this podcast? If you're into anything Japanese at all, you should know that name, because pretty much he is the man responsible for, in many ways, exploding the anime industry in the mid-90s. He is responsible for what many would consider the greatest and most frustrating anime series of all time, Neon Genesis Evangelion. He co-founded Studio Gainax, which was one of the hottest anime studio in the 90s up into the 2000s. They've done a ton of stuff. He got his start working on a Miyazaki movie. He worked on Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind. He animated the Titan, the giant god Titan attack sequence, which Higuchi would later on go and direct a live action version of, which was called, I think, Mighty God Appears Over Tokyo. I'll put that in the show notes if you haven't seen it yet. It's amazing. It's tied into Studio Ghibli, so it's all great. Anno, on the other hand, brought people like, is he gonna make this like really angsty, and this is not gonna make any sense because Evangelion towards the end makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. To which a lot of people were like, no, he's not gonna Evangelion up Godzilla. He's gonna make a Godzilla movie because the man's obviously a fan. So that is what led everyone to kind of bicker and fight amongst themselves over this whole announcement. Before we go any further, Jessica, I need to know, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I'm going to be interested to see how, I'm just going to call them co-directors.
Yes.
It's just going to be faster.
Mm-hmm.
Is there much on their past history together?
They came up together. They founded Daikon Films, and then which turned into Studio Gainax.
Okay, I just want to double check, just to be sure, because it is late and my mind is there.
Yeah, they are.
I think because they've worked together in the past, I think it can work out. If you're just throwing in two people that make almost no sense together, that would kind of be an issue. I think them together is going to be okay. I am more interested in how this movie would be affected, if there's any affection from after Attack on Titan. Because a lot of my friends here in the States who are not familiar with Higuchi's work, they were like, but Attack on Titan hasn't come out yet. And I go, but you saw Evangelion. They were like, but this one is live action and Godzilla's live action. Because usually how we do it here in the States is we wait until a director can do something real well, and then you hire him for the next one. So, it's kind of like a build-up. However, for this one, my friends were like, oh, I don't know, like, we haven't even seen his completed work for Attack on Titan. I guess they just went ahead with Godzilla. But I think it's actually I think it should be okay.
Well, I think it's going to be I think this is actually the best outcome that Toho could have picked. This kind of feels like they're okay, to put it for better or worse terms, this is Toho pulling a Marvel and picking the equivalent of the Japanese Joss Whedon to do their Avengers film. If that makes sense, what I just said.
Yes.
Yeah. Like Whedon would, a lot of people were like, oh yeah, have Whedon do it, but then at the same time, like, well, wait, Whedon's never done anything of that scale before. Could he do it? So, I mean, the man has fans. He's got a following. He's got a body of work that speaks for itself. So this tells me that Toho is really serious about doing Godzilla this time. They're not rushing it. It's not. It doesn't feel like that. We're gonna have this one, and then there's gonna be one a year after it, and kind of what we dealt with in the past, where we had a yearly movie. This feels like they're announcing it ahead of time. It's not coming out for at least another year, maybe year and some change, depending where they want to release it. If it's going to be a summer release or if it's going to be a winter release, we don't know yet at the time. But it feels like they're thinking, okay, domestic box office, then international. These two guys have huge sway here in Japan, and they actually have a bit of a following outside of Japan. So, at least fans out there will be able to enjoy it. Anno has directed live action stuff before. If anybody has never seen the live action Cutie Honey movie, go find it, go watch it. It's amazing. Admittedly, is it a perfect film? No. But he brings a freaking anime to life in a way I've never seen done before. So, I mean, it's not like Speed Racer. This is literally like he had actors act out various anime sequences and even got the shots and everything perfectly. So he's very adaptable at doing stuff like this. He's also a giant nerd too, and Godzilla's well within his repertoire. He knows this, he knows the material, he knows everything. So, if anything, he will create a very interesting Godzilla film, especially if he's writing it. It'll at least it's going to be different. I got a feeling that's what it's going to be. And if we're that's kind of what we need right now. We don't need a rehash of what we got with the Millennium series, where it still felt like Toho was kind of like figuring out what to do with it. It's just like, yeah, we assign people to it and we'll just have them crank it out. I think that's part of the problem of what we've had to deal with the last 20 years of Godzilla movies, where they were all just studio projects that they had their in-house directors do, and then they're like, hey, just go crank this out. We'll put it out next year. We'll make a small dime off it. We'll keep churning them. Now it feels like they're doing something like when they kind of gave into fan pressure and let Sasuke Kaneko direct Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah. That's there's a reason why that movie stands out so much. It feels like they're doing that again, and they're like, okay, we're gonna take our time. They got the Legendary series is still going, so they have something that there's gonna they got $100 million movie that they're gonna be compared to the year after. So they want to do at least something of quality. They know they can't match that, so they want to at least do something that stands out, something different, but still something uniquely Japanese. I can't wait for this. I got a feeling is just going to be phenomenally awesome. And there, if you look at the Gamera, just look at the effects in the Gamera films. If anything, even if you don't care for the story too much, the effects are going to be awesome. Unless they're going to use full-on CG, then I'm going to be really iffy, because Japan still has not caught up with us in plausible CG yet. Would you agree with that, Jessica?
Yeah, which I'm really surprised, because they are pretty much technology savvy, we should say, and like the future. So I guess it's because a friend and I were talking about this. It comes down to manpower and money. Yes, the United States, we delegate some of our stuff out, but there is no place like the U.S. when it comes to just the space program. I think that's how my friend and I ended up on the Talk of Hollywood, and also CGI technology. It comes down to manpower and money. And Japan, I believe, has manpower, but with less people. They do have a negative population growth at the moment. And with financing, I believe the economy of Japan is not where they would want it to be.
Oh, no. No, it's not. But that being said, we'll see how Attack on Titan does. Knowing Higuchi's kind of, he's an effects guy too. Go look at clips of Sinking Japan. It is a 10-year-old film now, but at the time it was a big deal, and the effects did look good in that. I am still kind of waiting to see how the Titan effects are going to be pulled off properly with the new movie, because Higuchi did direct the Subaru commercial that had the Attack on Titan tie-in, and it was actually his test.
Yes.
It was his test of whether or not he was going to go with makeup effects and green screen or go full CG. And after he directed that, that's when he decided to go full CG. So, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Toho did put out the footprint of the new Godzilla, which is kind of a little more dinosaurian, like a T-Rex in many ways, especially with the little vestigial tail or the little vestigial toe on the side. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but my hope would be if they really want to do something kind of like unique, do what they did with what is it? It's late. I'm blanking on Where the Wild Things Are, where you had a full suit actor and you just CG'd the face. Like, maybe don't have a suit, maybe have a suit but without the tail in it, and maybe put like some mocap markers on the face so you can get a better facial movements. You could do them post there, and then much like Superman's cape, CG the crap out of the tail, so the tail's got a whole life of its own. That would just be how I would go about it. So that way you have best of both worlds. But that's just some fat guy in California thinking. So that's not. I'm not in charge. So we will. I guess we shall see in the next few months.
Doesn't mean it's a terrible thought.
No, I mean I know, and I know a lot of people are especially fans want the tried and true suit, especially. I mean, there is a good argument for it. The fact that we still have the Legendary series going, and we'll have a full CG Godzilla in those. If Japan's going to keep making them, stick with the man in suit. But there is room for improvement. I mean, we have gotten better with puppeteering in many years. I mean, they definitely can do better with a suit. And I not to be one to say to completely break away from tradition, but you can always have a happy medium, and a little CGing of a suit here and there. Like again, don't do the tail. Give the performer inside the suit a lot more freedom to walk around. You're not dragging around a 60-pound tail behind you. It'll give the suits a lot more functionality and movement and stuff like that. And then just CG the face. Maybe leave half the mask off or half the mask off and just CG that, much like they did with Where the Wild Things Are. I mean, there was no. You see the behind the scenes stuff. It's just actors in these huge puppet suits with no head on them. It's kind of weird. They got teeny tiny little heads, big old bodies. But the effect that was pulled off was magnificent, and that is not outside of the realm that's something Japan could do.
I missed the last part of what you just said.
I was explaining how if it's not outside the realm for Japan to do something akin to Where the Wild Things Are, where they had, if you look at the behind the scenes.
Yes.
Actors in big suits with their teeny tiny heads sticking out of them, and like a bunch of like mocap spots, so that way they can animate them later.
Right. No, I understand. I mean, I think it is possible for them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it comes down to whether they want to, and again with money and manpower.
Yeah.
So
Jessica,
I just missed the last part. I didn't know whether that was a question or a statement.
Half the time, and nobody really knows what I'm saying anyway, so don't feel too bad. So Jessica, I want to know what you want, what you would like to see out of this film. Just give me a rundown what you're hoping to see out of it.
Well, for this one, all I want is more Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Because as great as the 2014 was,
mm-hmm.
there was definitely they were more like teasing you.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of saw him. I think it was infuriating when like you saw his mouth open and the door was closing,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, no, like I flipped out. I was like, no. I was hoping it was just the tease in the trailer, but nope, it actually happened.
Yeah.
Of course, my friends always say, but all of that is made up at the end with the atomic breath when it shoots right into the Muto. And I was like, yes, but I would want more of that,
mm-hmm.
Throughout the film. You don't have to give me atomic breath every time. That's kind of like his Hail Mary end-all, be-all. But, I said, so I understand that. But I wanted to see more of him and more of the fighting and everything. So I'm real simple. That's pretty much all that I want for the 2016.
New monster or old monster? As a rival monster.
Ooh. For the rival or for what he would look like?
No, rival monster. Like, he's going to fight something.
Oh, yeah. I think a mix of an old and a new. So one older one new one.
Oh.
And I think the older one I would prefer as more of not a cameo, but like a beginning fight.
Ah.
And then, but most of it will be of the new one.
I like the way Jessica thinks. I like that. It's giving like it's the sugar in the medicine, to swallow it down for like a new monster. I like that. Like have introduced like an established monster that people are already familiar with, and then work your way into the new one. That's good. I like your thinking, Jessica. I like your thinking. But would it be any of the following? Would it be Mothra? Would it be Rodan? Or would it be, they wouldn't use Mechagodzilla, but, any of the super popular ones that kind of got, used up in the last, few films of the Millennium series? Or would you go with like something a little more obscure but still known?
You know what would be really interesting, and they're never going to do it. You open up with the smog monster as a familiar dude. But, you know, of course everyone's going to go with, like, Mothra. King Ghidorah's a little bit too big, because he's kind of like his arch nemesis. Well, so, like, you know, like, Rodan maybe, or Mothra. But how weird would it be if it was, like, it opens up with the smog monster, and then, like, some other actual tangible badass dude comes out after that?
That'd be really good, because I saw someone had posted a picture of the smog, like, a comic that had been done of the smog monster, and actually kind of showed what a potential smog monster could really be. Like, bits of it, like when Godzilla's blasting, like its body is like, it's kind of like the Thing, or its body is all, you know, bunch of organisms with one like hive mind. So like if a piece of it flew off, it could still fight back and stuff like that. Like the eye could form into like a mini Hedorah of like half his head was blown away, and then reform. Well, it would be like Clayface, like a Clayface monster.
Oh, yeah. That would be really interesting.
Yes. You know, I do think people have... Hedorah definitely is something that really should be explored again. You know, the concept is too... Especially these days when we're all, like, environmentally conscious and stuff like that, the concept is very ripe for at least a return of some sort. But I like that. I like where you're going with that. Old monster, then into a new monster.
Yeah. That would be awesome. And then, of course, it would be silly, but you would see, like, Gigan, I can't pronounce his name, just kind of walk in the background.
You want, like, a little, like, on-screen thing where they're fighting, all of a sudden you just see him in the back, just kind of wave his claw and then walk off.
Yep, he just waves his claws and he walks out. Oh, man, he's awesome.
Guy, you know, which Gigan do you prefer? Do you prefer the old-school Gigan, or do you prefer the Final Wars Gigan?
Old school.
Old school. The big chicken-y, big belly one?
Yes. Yes, because he reminded me of a mutated chicken. This is before Robot Chicken. Mm-hmm. But I remember seeing him, and I was like, oh, my God, he is my monster platypus. He is like 5 things shipped into one. This is so dope.
I think you just named our episode right there, Jessica.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
My Monster Platypus. I think that might be the title. So, big Gigan fan. Did not know that about you. We really should sit down and do an episode where we kind of go over our favorite monsters. I don't think we've done that yet.
Oh, yeah, we should do that. We should do that.
I think that might be
We went through our favorite movies.
We did,
I don't think we went through our favorite monsters.
No, I think we need to do that. I think that might be our next episode when we sit down. All right, well, it's getting late as we record this, and I think we kind of talked on everything we need to do. If anything else updates in the next couple weeks, we will definitely touch upon it. Like I said, the next episode is going to be all pre-recorded. You know, I'll have a little bumper in and out, but you're going to hear us talk with the great Chris Mowry. So that's a nice teaser for that. And on that note, Jessica, tell the good people where they can find more of our work.
Yes, you can go to facebook.com/The Kaiju Kingdom Podcast. Be our bestest buddy and click like, and we will I enjoy reading the messages and the comments and everything, and we respond, and so we're quite interactive. And Chris is wonderful for putting up all of the content, and he does so much of the work. We are also on Twitter as the Kaiju Kingdom Podcast. The Kaiju Kingdom. There is no podcast because the username was too long. Mm-hmm. We are also on Tumblr, full name this time, the Kaiju Kingdom Podcast. And also, that's our email address, the Kaiju Kingdom Podcast @gmail.com. If you are shy and you don't want to follow us on Tumblr or tweet us or comment on us publicly, feel free to inbox and Gmail us.
All right, and where can they find more of your work?
Oh, yes. I am thecomicbookgirl.com and girlongeek.com. I'm also started another site called littlegeekgirls.com, and it is dedicated to really promoting and cultivating the love for girls like born, baby toddler age, up until the age of 12. I'm planning on something separate in the future for those that, will be in their teenage years. but to really cultivate their love for everything that society used to deem was more of a boy hobby. So, things like, I don't know if Star Wars counted. I put Star Wars on there.
Mm-hmm.
But, anything from, like, Kaiju, obviously Transformers, Voltron, G.I. Joe. Nothing makes me happier than seeing a little cosplay pink Darth Vader princess.
Mm-hmm.
All those wonderful things. Growing up, I saw a little girl the other day going to a Daredevil signing,
Mm-hmm.
I guess over at Midtown Comics, and she was like 4 or 5, and she took a picture with Charlie Cox, and she was a little Daredevil.
Aww.
And it was so cute, and growing up, I never really had that support,
Mm-hmm.
so, because I was always told that was kind of a boys thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got a great forum for parents who want to encourage their children, or parents helping other parents. If one parent kind of put together an Avengers birthday party for a little girl and the other parent is like, I don't know what I'm doing, help, then they can be able to help each other out. So there'll be like videos, interviews, tutorials, a few other things. And that's actually going to be coming up in about a week and a half to 2 weeks. I don't know. I believe this podcast, whenever this podcast comes out, it should be up 2 weeks after this podcast when it comes up. So go and check it.
All right.
So it's littleheatgirls.com. So, we want to encourage the love of young girls everywhere. And so I thought that would be great. We don't want any more sad little lonely Jessies growing up.
Oh, look at that. Jessica's fighting the good fight. Look at that.
And so, yes, also I want to say, if you have a son who identifies himself as a girl, he is free to come. All genders, all ages, everybody's coming. I don't want someone to be like, she's just being sexist. But everyone can come.
I don't think anybody's going to find any offense to that. And, wow, now I feel like a bit of a jackass, promoting my stuff because it doesn't have any, uplifting message like Jessica just had. But since I'm a shameless self-promoter, I'm going to do it anyway. You can check out my other podcasts over at therealmcast.com, where I kind of help run the show. We have several shows. If you like Flash, if you like Arrow, if you like The Walking Dead, if you like, horror. We got a horror podcast. You can check out our rundown shows for that. I host the Flash one, so if you want to hear me talk about, the adventures of Barry Allen each week, which, Jessica, I know you love that show, right?
Yes, I absolutely love The Flash. I adore The Flash.
It's an amazing show. Oh, it's so good. You can hear me flip out over it every week over on that as well. And then I host Take Two with my buddy George, where we talk about all the news in the week. And we also have the Comics Unchained podcast. So it's my good friend Sergio Sanchez and his buddy Whip Crack in Indiana. They talk about comics. And currently we have a interview series going on with Eric Lewald, the creator and showrunner of the Fox X-Men cartoon from the 90s. Fascinating story. I sat down with him for 4.5 hours. That's the other thing. You're going to hear a snippet, pardon me, a snippet from that interview next week with the Chris Mowry interview, because what I found out when I sat down with him, that Mr. Lewald was one of the writers of the Hanna-Barbera Ultraman cartoon that was that never really got off the ground past a animated movie. There was actually a couple pilots put together. I'll put a link to the actual Ultraman. It's up on YouTube. But if you've never seen it, it's actually a really amazing piece of animation you need to watch. It's Ultraman. It's got a little bit of Team America vibe to it, but it's a fantastically well done movie. It was made in the mid '80s, so it's an odd piece of tokusatsu history. But he goes on about it for a good half hour. So get ready to hear some bit of history that was almost lost to the ages. So you have that to stick forward to. So yeah, look at that. Get 2 interviews. Two exclusive interviews. Chris Mowry and Eric Lewald. I guarantee you guys will be satisfied with next week's show. On that note, that will do it for us for this edition of the Kaiju Kingdom podcast. So for myself and
Jessica, hi.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.